I watched Star Wars The Mandalorian Grogu about 2 months ago, and while I liked the film, other than loving the lead characters, the Mandalorian and Grogu, I can't remember liking anything else about the film. So I sat down and I made a list of everything I did not like about the film. This film felt more like a series of unrelated, loosely connected side quests. The film starts with the Mandalorian getting enlisted to hunt down Commander Coin for the rebels. And in order to get Coin, he has to do something for the Hutts, which is to hunt down their nephew Rota, which the Mandalorian does. But once he gets Rota, he has to let him go because Rota is a good guy and the Hutts are bad people. And while this is happening, he manages to capture Coin and hand him over to the rebels after letting Rota go away. And then he sort of rests, but the Hutts come in and capture him and throw him into this pit with this giant white worm from where he escapes. And then everybody bombs the Hutts and kills them. It's just a giant mess of action and motivation. And no one motivation actually takes center stage. This film doesn't feel like a story. It should have had one objective from start to finish, and everything else should have been built around it. We don't get a giant central mystery. We don't get a central objective. We don't get a central anything really. This film feels more like real life where a bunch of unrelated things just happen to a person and the start of the story isn't really connected to the middle or the end in any way. This film doesn't feel like a story. Underneath the complicated mess is a story that's pretty straightforward. There's no thematic complexity in the story at all. It's just characters going from one place to the other, doing one thing after another in largely predictable ways. So it's hard to figure out what the movie was trying to say. I do not, in fact, think the movie was trying to say much of anything. I think the film is just trying to cash in on all the goodwill the Mandalorian show has built, and that's sort of disappointing. Both Grogu and the Mandalorian remain largely unchanged throughout the film. They go through no emotional turmoil. There's no character-defining moment for either of our heroes. They're just doing their jobs because the studio guys wanted money. It's alright to want money, really, because that's what everyone wants in this capitalistic world. But why would they do that at the expense of the story? The whole film, it feels like a filler episode, something someone thought up because there wasn't enough time to write something with actual stakes. I can't believe this film actually got made. I can't believe Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni actually sat down and wrote this thing. I don't think they actually wrote the thing. I don't know. This film, it's so disappointing. And what's up with Grogu? In the first episode, an inexperienced Grogu lifted up a giant monster that almost killed the Mandalorian. And here he's doing parlor tricks with his powers. Why? If you've introduced something that powerful in a story, how can you not make use of said powerful power? Or maybe just find a way to scale down Grogu's powers? Explain that because he's not really a Jedi anymore, his powers are growing less and less powerful. And the slugs, Hutt's cousins, they have a reputation for being these giant scary monsters who will have you ripped apart because you looked at them funny. They're supposed to be mobsters and scary mobsters, but they do nothing to actually look and feel like mobsters. They just sublet their scariness to this giant worm that's trapped inside their large cavern underneath, and then they die. I know this would have been fan service, but it would have been nice to see Carl Weathers or Emily Swallow or even Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. That would have made the film better. I'm not saying it would have made a world of difference, but it would have been nice. The Mandalorian and Grogu is a film. It's an action film, and action films are supposed to have action. The action in Mandalorian and Grogu was terrible. There was a chase sequence somewhere in the middle, and there was a fight with a giant snake. And apart from that, I'm finding it hard to recall what action we got in the film. Even these fights and chase sequences, they were forgettable. I'm someone that values story over action, but even I thought the action in this film was forgettable. Look, I enjoyed the film, just enough to not be turned off the franchise. But the film gave us a lot of crap when they could have just as easily given us something much better. I hope the future of Mando and Grogu isn't this bad. I hope they make better films and shows, and I hope we can recapture some of what we got in that first season of the show. That's it from me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.